This is a reminder of today is the last Monday in February of 2025. And so the reflection this morning is going to be a potpourri of things that I prayed about and thought about regarding the last week in February. So my invitation to you is, I hope something grabs you. If not, God did, so whatever. The reading today, the first reading today is from Ecclesiastes or Sirach. And basically what it talks about is wisdom is given to us. And basically that's the invitation of the prayer this morning. I'm not going to read Sirach, Ecclesiastes, but the message is wisdom is given to us. In spirituality across the world, each month is given a meaning. You know, it could be from the Aztecs, it could be from the Hindus, it could be from the Christians. But generally speaking, February is a month of purification. And if you take a deep breath and put on your US citizenship hat, perhaps you can name some of the things that we are currently being invited, not necessarily with our own will, to be taken away from or purified. But when we look at it from the viewpoint of wisdom, purification is a moment of cleansing and washing. And actually the word February comes from the Roman word februa, meaning a ritual of washing. So we've got this last week now, I'm believing. We're invited then to take some time for spiritual renewal and letting go of the old to welcome the new. Or as the Romans and the early Christians prayed, this is a month of transition between winter and spring. So it's to cleanse ourselves from the darkness and the sadness sometimes, and to move into beauty, new life, life under the snow or under the ashes of the fire, and move into something new. And if you were living in Europe, generally speaking Europe, during the last week of February, one of the things you could do to someone who is a friend or someone whom you loved even more than a friend is to give them a bouquet of violets. Violets are the symbol of moving from February into March, because violets are flowers that bloom in the cold. And so it's the belief that even in coldness, we can give birth to beauty. The other thing is that it's a symbol, violets are a symbol of hope. That is during difficult times of difficulty and transition. So this is the only thing that I have that's close to violet. So I'm wearing it as a symbol today of hope and transition. So I was trying to come to grips with someone who could get us in touch with the deep meaning of the last week of February, the meaning of transition. So I went to my old friend, Mary Oliver. And there are about 10 years ago, maybe more than that, I went to a lecture that she gave in the auditorium at the Art Institute of Chicago. It was jammed. And I took a couple of notes of like main topics, And there's a book that maybe some of you have. It's her book. It's called Devotion. And it's a collection of Mary Oliver's poetry. And basically, the theme of all of her poetry can be boiled down to, believe it or not, these few statements and one main image. So these are her core beliefs. Hope is not optimism. Hope is not optimism. And those of us that have been part of Prayerful Pause for a long time have heard this said in many different ways, that we have hope even when things are dark. You don't have optimism when things are dark. Hope is not optimism, says Mary Oliver. Second, speaking with others gives life. Or as the Sisters of St. Joseph, Associates of St. Joseph, colleagues in ministry say, relationship is at the heart of who we are and who we are becoming. And that's what Mary Oliver believes. Hope is not optimism. Speaking with others gives life. And the third major belief is evolve or die. Evolve or die. Hope is not optimism. Speaking with others gives life. Evolve or die. Those are her words. This is her core image. It's a tree. A tree is Mary Oliver's core image. And this is why it's her core image. Trees working underground in the root area create a new foundation for continued life. Something new is being born, and we can't see it. Trees working underground in the root area create a new foundation. Something new is being born where we can't see it. So I'm going to share a poem with you, and I'm going to read it twice. And then we'll have a significant piece of quiet time for you to hopefully get in touch with something that we just said together, that in this last week of February rings true. This is the poem called In Blackwater Woods. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to the fires in the Black River of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning some of us will never, ever know to live in this world. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. In Blackwater Woods by Mary Oliver. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what his name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends upon it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. In Blackwater Woods. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires in the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends upon it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. So my conclusion for this session, this prayer, really prayer this morning, is a little risky, but I'm going to send it out to you because I think it has something to do with, whether we like it or not, what we're being invited to let go of. and I'm not going to fill in that blank. But on February 28th, the last day of February in 2025, there's a national shopping boycott. And the purpose of the boycott is to protest the ending of DEI in major corporations and industries. That is to protest the ending of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's also to protest the corporate greed and hatred, causing a crisis among those who are not rich, white, or the appropriate gender. So I believe that this poem from Mary Oliver, to hold that which is mortal against our bones, and when it's time to let it go, let it go. I think that's the call for us who live in the United States right now, to try to figure out what is it that we want to let go of, and what is it that we want to hold dearly. And I'm suggesting that we in the United States, in this group, want to hold on to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So let the people say, amen. Have a good week.